Hi mates, welcome to the Grantham University's Curated Theater. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the Barbary Pirates. In 1784, America awakened to a new terror. Pirates prowled the seas, capturing American ships and citizens. President Thomas Jefferson refused to pay tribute to the pirates, and he sent America's first Marines to the shores of Tripoli to battle the Barbary Pirates. Enjoy the tale, me mates. 'Tis best to know history, lest ye be made to repeat it.
The Barbary States stretched along the northern coast of Africa.
Arabs, Moors, Turks, Mohammedans, most of them.
The Barbary States had practiced piracy for centuries. They sought plunder and captives to be held for ransom. They were experts at boarding and hand-to-hand fighting.
Why didn't the nations get together and stop them?
Because the rulers of Europe distrusted each other, they would not make a combined effort against the corsairs. The Barbary rulers were quick to take advantage of a young, weak nation like the United States. In accordance with time-honored practice, tribute was expected as a price for peace. As early as 1786, Thomas Jefferson realized diplomacy was helpless unless a navy was created and used. Protection money, a price for peace. A treaty with Algiers in 1796 cost the United States nearly $1 million, including the gift of a new frigate. Peace with Tunis cost over $100,000, and Tripoli about $56,000. But the Pasha of Tripoli thought unprotected American trade too tempting. He repudiated the treaty and demanded $250,000 immediately and a yearly payment of $20,000.
Didn't the United States say no to that?
Indeed we did, and war was declared by Tripoli May 10, 1801. About June 1st, 1801, Commodore Richard Dale's squadron left Hampton Roads. The President, the Philadelphia, Essex, and Enterprise. Dale cruised along the Barbary coast with a show of force. But 4 ships were not enough for an effective blockade of Tripoli. This force was enlarged by Commodore Richard Morris, the Constellation, Chesapeake, Adams, New York, and John Adams. But still not enough for the blockade. Their duties included convoying and showing the flag off Algiers, Tunis, and Morocco. And they replenished at Gibraltar. Soon to be given command of the Mediterranean squadron was a man who left a lasting imprint on the Navy, Commodore Edward Preble, who arrived on station in the Constitution. Little known to his officers at first, he was a strict disciplinarian. Born in the state of Maine, he'd fought in the Revolution. Preble was a great leader. He was firm. He had fighting spirit. He had character. A commander passes on these qualities. His officers were well-schooled. They were given high standards and were in themselves great commanders with the Preble fighting spirit. 2 serious obstacles were ahead. Trouble with Morocco across from Gibraltar. The Sultan of Morocco saw that the American ships, at Preble's orders, were cleared for action.
So he up and changed his mind.
He renewed the Treaty of 1786 with no further demands on the United States. Bad luck here with the Philadelphia. She had been sent ahead to blockade Tripoli. Chasing an enemy craft close inshore, she hit an uncharted reef.
Ran aground, eh? What did the skipper do to get her off?
Well, Captain Bainbridge laid all sails aback, tried to lighten ship. He cut away her foremast, cast off her anchors, jettisoned many of her guns, but kept some to fight with. After 4 hours, Bainbridge had to surrender. The enemy floated the Philadelphia and brought her in triumphantly. The Pasha of Tripoli was pleased. He held the Philadelphia's officers and crew for an enormous ransom. But Commodore Preble was not pleased. A powerful American ship was now turned against him. He had only the frigate Constitution of equal metal to meet her. He decided to destroy the Philadelphia. Lieutenant Stephen Decatur, Jr., commander of the Enterprise, volunteered to head an expedition to enter an enemy harbor and capture and burn a large warship. This called for volunteers. Aboard the Enterprise, every officer, man, and boy stepped forward. He selected 5 officers and 62 men. A Sicilian pilot, Salvatore Catalano, knew the harbor. They set out in a captured Tripolitan ketch with Mediterranean rig, renamed the Intrepid. Boldly, they sailed into the enemy harbor. A plan of attack had been carefully worked out and rehearsed. They would capture the Philadelphia by a united rush. They would then split into details to set her afire. 100 yards away, they were hailed. Catalano, the pilot, answered. He claimed that a storm had stripped them of anchors and requested permission to tie up alongside. The breeze gave out. Becalmed, 20 yards away from the heavy guns of the frigate. Almost alongside.
What's that surfing? They did it!
It was called a bold and daring act. This was from a British admiral, the great Lord Nelson. Decatur was promoted to captain and presented with a sword by a grateful Congress.
Yep, he raided it. Now, what's that peculiar floating object?
That's a bomb vessel for siege work. Commodore Prevost borrowed 2 of them from the king of the 2 Sicilies. He was going to close in and bombard Tripoli. Prevost sailed into the harbor of Tripoli with a squadron of schooners and brigs. The Enterprise, Nautilus, Argus, Siren, Scourge, Vixen, in addition to 6 gunboats mounting 1 gun each, 2 bomb vessels, and the flagship Constitution. With him were over 1,000 officers and men. They were attacking a walled city, defended by an army of 25,000, by forts and batteries mounting 115 guns, and a Tripolitan naval force of a brig, 2 schooners, 2 large galleys, and 19 gunboats. The first attack began on August 3rd, 1804. Prevost took his entire fleet within point-blank range of the shore batteries. Captain Summers commanded the 1st Gunboat Division. Captain Stephen Decatur, the 2nd. Enemy ships and shore batteries opened up at grape-shot distance. Captain Decatur advanced toward the enemy's eastern division of 9 gunboats. The enemy closed. Captain Summers, even with his sweeps out, couldn't fetch windward to join Decatur. In gunboat number 1, he bore down on 5 of the enemy's western division, engaged within pistol shot, and drove them among the rocks. Captain Decatur, in number 4 gunboat, carried 1 enemy gunboat and then took a second. Was saved by Reuben James. Lieutenant Tripp, in gunboat number 6, boarded an enemy, was cut off. He cleared the deck and hauled down the enemy colors. The brother of Stephen Decatur, Lieutenant James Decatur, was the only officer killed. Prevost broke up the action, but returned 4 days later. The bomb vessels threw shells into the town. From their prison ashore, Bainbridge, former captain of the Philadelphia, and his officers watched the battle. Their men had been forced to carry ammunition for the enemy. The Pasha of Tripoli gave no sign of yielding his city or asking for peace.
couldn't help but please those fellas.
Preble had another idea. A fire ship loaded with explosives to destroy the harbor shipping and shatter the Pasha's castle. The same Intrepid that had burned the Philadelphia. In her hold, 100 barrels of powder, 150 shells. Slow-burning fuses led to the powder magazine. The Intrepid, Captain Summers, was manned by a volunteer crew of 13.
13.
Preble waited. And the Argus, Nautilus, and Vixen stood by to take off the crew of the fire ship. Would the Intrepid repeat her great deed? Would her luck hold? The enemy was restive.
Nope, the luck didn't hold.
Subsequently, Preble was ordered home, and the Pasha was now faced by Commodore Barron. The new Commodore brought out William Eaton, Navy agent for the Barbary States, who had a plan. The brother of the Pasha of Tripoli was Hamet Karamanli. He had claimed the throne of Tripoli, had been defeated, and driven into Egypt. It was Eaton's idea to put Hamet back on the throne of Tripoli. A native army of 400 men was gathered in Egypt. Frequent disorders and desertions among them reduced this number. From the fleet came 7 United States Marines. They were under Lieutenant O'Bannon. And this army started out with 107 camels. From Egypt, nearly 600 miles across the Libyan desert to Derna. It was an extraordinary march, one of the most difficult in military history. With the Marine Corps, it was the start of a great tradition, a march from Egypt to the shores of Tripoli. Supplies were received from the Argus and Hornet. Reaching Derna, the attack was coordinated with the guns of the Argus, Hornet, and Nautilus, guns on which the hope of victory rested. And the war was over. There was peace in the Mediterranean.